In the year 8 AH, with the Treaty of Hudaybiyah still fresh, the Muslim community faced a crisis of faith and numbers. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had only 1,400 companions with him in Makkah, a city brimming with 10,000 Quraysh warriors ready to defend their stronghold. The stakes were clear. Failure meant the collapse of the fledgling Islamic State and the possibility of severe persecution for the Muslims. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, already a seasoned statesman and warrior, found himself in the heart of this strategic dilemma. As Ibn al-Athir recorded in al-Kamil fi al-Tarikh, the Prophet, peace be upon him, had instructed his companions to stay within the sacred boundaries of Makkah, forbidding them from engaging in combat. This was a test of faith and patience, a moment where the Muslim community had to rely on something greater than their swords. The Prophet, peace be upon him, had sent Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf and another companion, Uthman ibn Affan, to negotiate with the Quraysh. The mission was perilous. If they failed, the fragile peace of Hudaybiyah could shatter, and the Muslims would be forced to fight or flee. As Al-Tabari documented in Tarikh al-Rusul wa al-Muluk, the Quraysh leaders were divided. Some wanted to attack the Muslims immediately, while others argued for caution. Abd al-Rahman and Uthman, faced with the Quraysh's demands, found themselves at a crossroads. They had to decide whether to accept the terms, which were harsh and seemed to favor the Quraysh, or to risk the consequences of refusing. Abd al-Rahman, known for his wisdom and prudence, chose to accept the terms. He understood that the Prophet, peace be upon him, had a greater vision, one that extended beyond the immediate conflict. His strategic reasoning was rooted in faith. He trusted that Allah's plan would prevail. As Ibn Kathir noted in al-Bidaya wa al-Nihaya, Abd al-Rahman's decision was not one of weakness, but of profound tawakkul, reliance on Allah. The resolution came when the Prophet, peace be upon him, accepted the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, a decision that, at the time, seemed like a setback. However, as Ibn Khaldun observed in al-Muqaddimah, this treaty was a masterstroke of patience and strategy. It allowed the Muslims to return to Medina with their dignity intact, paving the way for future victories. The treaty also opened the door for many new converts, as people saw the strength and mercy of Islam firsthand. Yet the story did not end there. The treaty had provisions that would test the resolve of the Muslim community once more. The clause stating that any Muslim from Makkah who wished to join the Muslims in Medina would be surrendered back to the Quraysh weighed heavily on the hearts of the believers. It was a direct challenge to their principles of freedom and faith. What nobody knew at the time was that this clause would soon be tested, setting the stage for another pivotal moment in Islamic history. In the aftermath of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, the Muslim Ummah stood at a crossroads. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had secured a fragile truce with the Quraysh of Mecca, but the future of Islam in Arabia was far from certain. Amidst this critical juncture, one man's wisdom and foresight would prove indispensable: Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, may Allah be pleased with him. With only 1,400 Muslims in Medina, the odds were stark. Surrounded by hostile tribes and the mighty Quraysh alliance, the Prophet's community faced existential threats daily. As Ibn al-Athir notes in al-Kamil fi al-Tarikh, the Muslims were vastly outnumbered and lacked the resources to engage in open warfare. Yet within this precarious situation, Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf emerged as a pivotal figure, whose strategic acumen and unwavering faith would shape the course of Islamic history. The stakes were immense. Failure to secure allies and consolidate power could lead to the annihilation of the Muslim community. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, knew that diplomacy and economic strength were as crucial as military prowess. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, with his extensive business experience and deep understanding of tribal dynamics, was uniquely positioned to navigate these challenges. Al-Tabari, in his Tarikh al-Rusul wa al-Muluk, recounts how Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf advised the Prophet, peace be upon him, on matters of trade and alliances. He recognized that the Muslim community needed to build economic resilience to sustain itself. His strategic reasoning was clear. Without financial stability, the Muslims would struggle to defend themselves and spread the message of Islam. One of Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf's most significant contributions was his role in the conquest of Kharibah. This Jewish stronghold, located north of Medina, posed a significant threat to the Muslim community. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gathered his forces, but the exact number of soldiers varied among the sources. Al-Tabari reports that the Muslim army consisted of around 1,600 men, while Ibn al-Athir suggests a slightly higher number. Regardless, the Muslims were outnumbered by the well-fortified Jewish defenders. The terrain of Kharibah was rugged and inhospitable, with fortified compounds and extensive agricultural lands. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, understanding the strategic importance of Kharibah, played a crucial role in the battle. His knowledge of the region and his tactical expertise proved invaluable. As Ibn Kathir records in al-Bidaya wa al-Nihaya, Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf advised the Prophet, peace be upon him, on the best approaches to breach the fortifications. However, the battle was not without its challenges. The Jewish defenders were well prepared and fiercely resisted the Muslim advance. According to Al-Tabari, Khalid ibn al-Walid, may Allah be pleased with him, led a daring assault on one of the forts, but initial attempts to breach the defenses were met with stiff resistance. The Prophet, peace be upon him, prayed for divine intervention, and eventually the Muslims gained the upper hand. The conquest of Kharibah was a turning point for the Muslim community. The agricultural lands provided much-needed resources, and the victory boosted the morale of the Muslims. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf's strategic contributions were instrumental in this success. His ability to think ahead and adapt to changing circumstances exemplified his noble character and deep faith. Yet the victory at Kharibah was just one chapter in the ongoing struggle for the survival and expansion of the Muslim Ummah. As the Muslims consolidated their power, new challenges arose. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah had bought them time, but the Quraysh and other hostile tribes were not idle. The Muslims knew that they had to be prepared for any eventuality. In the months following the conquest of Kharibah, Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf continued to advise the Prophet, peace be upon him, on matters of governance and strategy. His unwavering commitment to the cause of Islam and his profound wisdom made him a trusted confidant of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The Muslims, under his guidance, were laying the foundations for a future that would see the spread of Islam across the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. But what nobody knew was that in the distant lands of Persia, a new threat was already forming. The Sassanid Empire, recognizing the growing power of the Muslims, was preparing to confront this emerging force. The stage was set for a series of battles that would test the resolve and faith of the Muslim community like never before. In the year 8 AH, a new chapter unfolded in the unfolding saga of Islamic conquest and strategy. With 30,000 men under his command, the Prophet Muhammad set his sights on the fertile lands of the Arabian Peninsula, where the tribes of Hawazin and Thaqif had gathered their forces. The stakes were clear. Victory would secure the dominance of Islam in the region, while defeat could embolden the enemies of the faith. Among the esteemed companions of the Prophet stood Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, a man whose wisdom and tactical acumen were as renowned as his piety. The Prophet had designated him as one of the commanders, a testament to his strategic prowess. Abd al-Rahman's role was pivotal, for the Battle of Hunain loomed one that would test the very resolve of the Muslim forces. As al-Tabari recorded in his Tarikh al-Rusul wa al-Muluk, the Prophet led his army into the valley of Hunain, where the combined forces of the Hawazin and Thaqif, numbering around 20,000 men, lay in wait. The terrain was treacherous, with narrow passes and dense vegetation that hindered the movement of the Muslim army. The enemy forces were well entrenched, ready to ambush the Muslims in a coordinated assault. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, recognizing the strategic challenge, advised the Prophet to reorganize the troops. He suggested splitting the army into two divisions, one to engage the enemy directly, while the other would flank them from the rear. This tactic, Abd al-Rahman reasoned, would exploit the element of surprise and the favorable terrain to outmaneuver the enemy. According to Ibn al-Athir in al-Kamil fi al-Tarikh, the initial engagement was chaotic. The dense foliage and narrow passes caused confusion among the Muslim ranks, and the enemy's ambush caught many off guard. Despite the setback, Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf remained steadfast. He rallied the troops, urging them to maintain their formation and follow the Prophet's lead. His unwavering faith and tactical brilliance became a beacon of hope amidst the turmoil. The critical moment came when the Prophet dismounted and called upon his companions to fight with unyielding resolve. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, along with other esteemed companions such as Abu Bakr al-Siddiq and Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with them, stood firm by his side. Their courage and determination inspired the troops, turning the tide of the battle. Yet the aftermath of the battle presented a new challenge. The Prophet faced a moral dilemma: how to handle the spoils of war and the captives. Abd al-Rahman ibn Auf, ever the voice of wisdom, advised the Prophet to distribute the spoils equitably among the Muslims and to treat the captives with justice and mercy. This advice reflected the true spirit of Islam, where victory was not merely a triumph of force, but a testament to the principles of faith and righteousness. As the Muslim army marched towards the city of Taif, where the remaining enemy forces had sought refuge, a new threat emerged. The letter that arrived that night would change everything.